Listen, the easier you are to access, the less psychological value you hold. Unrestricted access can weaken your authority. You know that old saying, familiarity breeds contempt? It's true, and powerful women understand this. You see, modern women like Lupita Nyong'o, Genevieve Onaji, and historic women like Queen Elizabeth I understand this one thing. The woman who controls access controls perception, and perception is power. When you give people unlimited access to you, the mystery surrounding you disappears. People become less curious about getting to know you, and then the respect they once had for you weakens. A research in leadership psychology found that women in position of power are often judged not only by competence, but by emotional expression, by composure, and perception management. So in other words, authority for women is deeply connected to how women manage visibility, how they express their emotions, and very importantly, the access that they allow others have to them. So in today's video, we will look at a couple of things because in this world that we live in today, people seem to have forgotten how powerful access is, especially women. So it's going to be a long video. I need you to also understand that the visuals might not be business as usual, but you should be interested in what we have to discuss. So we'll talk about how damaging unlimited access can be to you, especially as a woman. We'll talk about how Queen Elizabeth used selective access to her advantage, what the 48 laws of power has to say about access. We'll also look at modern women who practice selective access and how we can also practice it and use it to our advantage. Hi, I'm Jay. Welcome to She Upgraded. In here, I break down strategies used by successful women which has helped them become the women they are today, and hopefully you can learn from me too. Hit the like button if you've learned anything, and make sure you subscribe if this is your place. There's a false reality that this modern culture has sold to people. They need to constantly let people into your world. They need to always be available, and it has packaged it as visibility. You see, visibility is not a negative thing, but you need to learn to use it properly. Obviously, healthy relationship requires consistency, it requires emotional presence, but there's a difference between healthy availability and unrestricted access. No, they are not the same thing. Unlimited access changes the psychological way people experience you, and this is how the brain works. What it views as constantly present, it normalizes, and when something is being normalized, is often underappreciated. Now, this is why sometimes people work harder to gain the attention of someone, and this someone is not always better than others, but they understand how people can form perception. You see, perception is a force, and this is why smart women build theirs around scarcity. There's a principle known as the scarcity principle, and it explains that human beings naturally assign value to things they feel are limited. Limited time, limited edition, limited access. So is the opposite. When something feels endlessly available, people unconsciously assume it carries less value. Think about how people treat water. Water is a healthy drink, the healthiest there is. The benefit of drinking water daily are endless. Yet people are still reminded to drink water. People are still forced to drink water. And in places where water is abundant, people waste it. But you see, in places where it is scarce, every drop of it is precious. Human attention works similarly. And this is where most women accidentally lose their power. They over-explain, they over-text, they overshare, they overdo everything. A lot of women are emotionally accessible to everyone. Just about anyone can reach them, whenever. And you see, over time, people stop treating their presence like it's meaningful. Now, this does not mean that you should ignore people. It doesn't mean you should disappear unnecessarily just to feel important. That's not power. That's insecurity disguised as power. Real power is emotional discipline. It's understanding that your energy has value. It's understanding that your time, your attention, your openness has value. Not everybody deserves unlimited access to it. And the older you get, the more you realize that people really protect what costs them nothing. People often respect boundaries more than they respect unlimited access. This is why some women can be incredibly kind but still command respect. It's because they are emotionally intelligent but not emotionally exposed. And of course, they understand selective access and the hidden power within it. Queen Elizabeth I understood something that most people during her time did not. And it's interesting that even now, many people still do not understand that visibility and accessibility are not the same thing. Elizabeth was visible. The world knew her, people watched her, men desired her, political leaders pursued alliance with her. But despite all that attention, she remained psychologically inaccessible. And you see, that distance became her power. Queen Elizabeth I lived in a time where marriage, especially for a queen like her, was not just personal, it was a political move, it was meant to be strategic, and every nation wanted to have some sort of possession over her. Every powerful man wanted certainty for her, but she never allowed anyone full emotional possession because she controlled access to herself, she controlled leverage. People constantly anticipated her decisions, they studied her words, they projected meaning to her silence. That is power. She wasn't desperate for attention. She wasn't chasing validation by letting everyone or anyone too close. Elizabeth mastered one of the most important principles in power dynamics. The person who controls access often controls perception, and perception shapes influence. Notice something interesting. The more difficult someone is to fully understand, the more mental energy people spend trying to understand them. Look at Elizabeth's courtship. There were a number like Duke of Anjou, King Philip, some royals. But I want to focus on her relationship with Robert. Robert was believed to be the man closest to her emotionally. People at the court speculated that she would eventually marry him. You see, Elizabeth allowed that closeness to be visible enough to create that fascination, but never fully accessible to give certainty. See, that uncertainty kept the court emotionally invested. It made foreign power conscious, and, as a result of that, political attention was centered around Elizabeth. Elizabeth also carefully staged access to herself. She controlled who would approach her, who could see her, how she was visually presented, and as the years went by, she became selective with her presence. And she also protected the symbolic power of her image, and this became what historians call the cult of Glorian. She transformed herself from a woman monarch to a mythic figure. You see, that's the power of selective access. Now, of course, Elizabeth was not powerful simply because she was mysterious. She was also intelligent, she was strategic, she was highly educated, and I dare say she was politically disciplined. But it was her controlled emotional accessibility that helped amplify her authority. This is still very much useful today. Selective access is still very powerful till today. And one of the best books that you can use to help you learn about controlled access is The 48 Laws of Power. Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. What makes this law powerful is the deep connection to human adaptation. Human beings adapt to constant presence. The more available something becomes, the less emotionally stimulating it often feels. This is why songs become less interesting after you've heard them too much. Overposting on social media sometimes reduces intrigue. This is why people who constantly explain themselves begin to lose psychological authority. Constant exposure weakens emotional impact. You need to understand emotional pacing. Some people make the mistake of believing closeness equals unlimited access. No, it doesn't. You see, healthy power dynamics require space. Space for curiosity, space for anticipation, and also for reflection. And many women destroy this intrigue because they eliminate all this emotional distance too quickly. You meet a person and immediately tell them your wins, your loss, how you were hurt by your ex, and quickly an emotional bond begins to form prematurely. Next, you are emotionally available, and then you make yourself easy to reach, all in a couple of weeks or probably months. Now, you see, what happened is that this person stopped appreciating your presence. They stop appreciating your effort because it's no longer something they look forward to. Have you noticed how people appreciate warmth after distance? How people enjoy conversations more after silence? How your family appreciates your presence more when they haven't seen you in a long time? This is why emotionally disciplined people always leave stronger impressions. They understand timing, and timing is powerful. Think of women that people describe as unforgettable. They are not always the most extroverted people. They just know how to create that emotional weight, which makes their presence feel deliberate in a way that creates impact in your mind. Law 4. Always say less than necessary. Saying less than necessary is not just about silence for the sake of it. It's understanding that over-explaining weakens authority. Powerful women do not rush to clarify themselves to everyone. The more you speak, the higher the chances of you spilling too much or looking less intriguing. Human beings are naturally curious. When they lack the complete information, their brain keeps searching for answers. This psychology is behind why emotionally restrained women are memorable. People continue thinking about them because they can't get over the mystery. People documenting every thought, every wishful thinking, every argument, every achievement. Psychologically, excessive information and visibility reduces depth. It's becoming very necessary today for women, especially, to be taught how powerful selective communication is. Even as an influencer or even as someone who likes to use social media a lot, some thoughts should remain in your head where they were formed. Recently, there was a social influencer that passed, and people were talking about her life. They went to dig up things about what she had said in the past. Sometimes you don't need to share your opinion about something. I know that you want to let the world know what is going on in your life. I know that you want people to see that you're truly living that soft life, so you want to give them some level of access. I know that you want to show people the long list of powerful men in your DM. Please pause and think about it again. Do you really want to let people into your life so close up that it's almost like they are living in the same house with you? Law 3. Conceal your emotions. I love this one because this law is often misunderstood and is a very powerful one. People hear this and they immediately think manipulation, but there's more to it. There's an intelligent interpretation of this law. Not everybody deserves full access to your plans. Not everybody deserves full access to your emotions, your ambitions, and even your weaknesses. You sabotage yourself by revealing everything too early. Announcing your move before making it is not smart. Learn to move in silence. Exposing yourself emotionally to people who have not earned your trust will weaken your emotional stability. There is power in allowing your result to speak before you announce anything. Women, especially younger women listening right now, you need to learn privacy. Telling everyone too soon may look cool now, but very soon you will learn that that's not how to move as an intelligent woman. People always regret when they tell too soon. Think about the women you truly admire. Many of them do not reveal every layer of themselves. And this does not mean they are hiding. Having to gradually unfold creates stronger emotional investment, and it makes people respect you more. Modern women who mastered selective access. Yes, we are still going to talk about Genevieve Unaji because I feel like the last video I did on selective access, I didn't cover some of the points that I needed to buttress in that video concerning her. Genevieve understands that constant visibility may increase attention, but selective visibility increases prestige. One thing you can tell about her is that she did not build her image through giving people too much access, and eventually she has also learned to resist constant overexposure, even with her work. And because people cannot have enough of her presence carries weight. I remember a time where Genevieve disappeared from the public eyes and there were rumors concerning her health. When she reappeared, she didn't feel the need to address the public concerning it. She just reappeared by posting a photo or a video of her doing something. I think that was how she showed up. And then there was also a friend's birthday that she attended. No explanation. I know dozens of celebrities who will opt for public press, who would rather go for media rounds, who would do a video about a day in the life of a long-gone celebrity and things like that. And have you also noticed how many times these interviews were not necessary and it ended up exposing them in certain ways that they could have hiding themselves from the public. It ended up revealing information about them that was not supposed to be made public. Now let's shift to something uncomfortable. Many women, which may include you, unintentionally train people to undervalue them because they overextend access. Being loving is not a weakness. Being a supportive friend is not a weakness. Being emotionally available is not a weakness. It's the lack of selectivity, and is as a result of your conditioning. The fear of rejection makes you want to allow everyone into your space. But the downside to it is you can't build self-respect this way. You would have to teach people how to access you if you want them to respect you. If you're intentional with who you let in, how far in they come, how much you let out, who you let it out to, people will approach you carefully. This is how you can use selective access without becoming manipulative. 1. Stop over-explaining yourself. I know you've heard this a number of times, but you see, you don't need to justify every decision. You don't need everyone to agree with you. You don't need everyone to agree with your view, your perception of life. And it doesn't always mean you're wrong. And it doesn't also always mean that they are wrong. It's okay for you to be okay with your view about something at that moment until you learn better and until you know better. Don't go about trying to prove yourself and trying to prove to people how you're correct and try to over-explain yourself, because this is where a lot of women start to mess up. 2. Be more intentional with your availability. See, your energy is sacred. Not everybody deserves it. Only go to where you should be. You don't need to honor every invitation. Sometimes, people are just inviting you to fill up their space, not because they think you are worthy of it. Too bad. Not because they think that you should be there. Too bad. So discern when you're really a guest of honor or you're just that one extra person that they need for their backup plans. 3. When people come into your life, allow enough time and let them be trustworthy before you reveal important things about yourself. Allow people to discover you gradually. This is one of the reasons why breakups hurt. Friendship breakups, romantic breakups, family breakup, whatever you call it, especially when you haven't been together for too long, because you tell them all too soon. So afterwards, you feel very exposed. 4. Create a private inner world. You see, a world that can only get to be experienced, or a world that they get to know certain things about you only if they have earned your respect. See, this inner world should only be for a few people. No, you still do not have to tell them everything. You still do not have to show them everything about you. But it's a world that shows that this is how close it gets. So when they are shut out of that world, especially when they disrespect you or when they misbehave, they know that they have really messed up. And they know that they don't get to hear anything serious about you. People will appreciate access to you more when they know that you operate like this. There's a psychological explanation to it, and I'll explain it in another video. 5. Stop confusing attention with respect. A lot of people are heavily desired but deeply undervalued, sadly. Respect usually comes from boundaries. Respect comes from emotional discipline and self-possession. See, selective access is not about punishing people. It's about recognizing that your presence has value and should be treated intentionally, and hopefully you treat others in such manner. Every day, people respond to this principle. Don't let anyone deceive you by telling you that selective access is not a thing. Don't let people deceive you by telling you that it's just content. It's a thing. No, you don't need to be cold. You don't need to be manipulative, but you need to restrict access to your emotions, your time, your energy, and very importantly, what you pay attention to, because attention truly is currency. And I did a video on it. If you're interested in learning about how selective attention works and how impactful it can be to you, especially as a woman who considers herself to be very high value, a woman who considers herself to be one who is respected, you should go watch that video, and I'll leave the link in the description box. I'll also leave the link of videos that are related to this one and the part 1 of this video in the description box. So make sure you go see it, and I will see you there. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for?